First Contact and Ultimatum. Admiral Sarah Reyes stood motionless on the bridge of the UES Defiant, her weathered face illuminated by the harsh glow of emergency lighting. The massive alien vessel hanging in Earth's orbit dominated the view screen, its crystalline surface refracting sunlight in patterns that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The ship had appeared without warning 3 days ago, bypassing Earth's early detection systems like they didn't exist. "They're hailing us again, Admiral," Lieutenant Commander Jackson reported, his fingers hovering over the communications panel. Reyes nodded, squaring her shoulders. "Put them through." The view screen flickered, revealing the alien being who had introduced itself as Supreme Overseer Krill of the Vorn Collective. The creature's translucent skin revealed a complex network of pulsing blue veins. Its 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern, focused on Reyes with cold intelligence. "Your deliberation period has expired, humans." The alien's voice resonated through the ship's speakers, its words translated by Earth's AI systems. "The Vorn Collective awaits your decision. Will you submit to assimilation and provide the required resources?" 72 hours earlier, Supreme Overseer Krill had delivered an ultimatum that shook humanity to its core. The Vorn had been observing Earth for decades, cataloging its resources and assessing its worth. Now they demanded Earth's complete surrender, the transfer of 40% of all global resources, and 1 million human subjects for biological sampling. In exchange, the Vorn would grant humanity protection as a client species and allow them restricted access to certain technologies. Resistance, Krill explained with clinical detachment, would result in planetary sterilization. Reyes maintained a neutral expression despite the fury boiling inside her. "Supreme Overseer, the United Earth Council requests additional time to prepare our response. This is our first encounter with a spacefaring civilization, and we—" "Denied," Krill interrupted, mandibles clicking in apparent irritation. "The collective's efficiency cannot be compromised by your species' indecision. You have 24 hours to begin resource collection. Our harvesters will arrive at that time." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the bridge in tense silence. "Get me the Security Council," Reyes ordered, her voice steady despite the weight pressing down on her chest. Now. The emergency session of Earth's Unified Security Council convened in the subterranean facility beneath New Geneva. Leaders from every nation and coalition sat around a massive holographic table displaying the Vorn vessel and the data Earth scientists had managed to gather. "Their technology is beyond anything we've developed," Dr. Eliza Chen, director of Earth's Advanced Research Division, explained as she presented the scan results. "The energy output from their main vessel alone could power our entire planet for a century. Their weapons systems," she hesitated, "based on our readings, they could indeed render Earth uninhabitable within hours." President Miguel Sanchez of the Pan-American Alliance rose from his seat. "Then we have no choice but to comply and search for leverage once we better understand their technology." "Comply," General Viktor Petrov of the Eurasian Confederation thundered, pounding his fist on the table. "They demand 1 million of our people. Are we to simply hand them over like cattle? If we resist directly, they'll take far more than 1 million lives." The African Union representative countered, her voice strained but controlled. The argument escalated until Secretary General Nadia Omar called for order. "We need solutions, not shouting matches." She turned to Dr. Chen. "Doctor, what else have you learned about the Vorn?" Dr. Chen's expression was grave as she adjusted her glasses. "We've intercepted communications between the main vessel and their scout ships. After extensive analysis, our linguists and AI have decoded more of their language than what they've shared with us." She took a deep breath before continuing. "What we've learned is disturbing. Species that submit to Vorn demands face increasing resource quotas until their planets are stripped bare. Those labeled as biologically interesting are eventually harvested completely for what appears to be genetic experimentation. Worlds that resist are cleansed and then mined by automated systems. A heavy silence fell over the room as the implications sank in. "So we're damned either way," President Sanchez murmured. "Perhaps not." All eyes turned to Dr. Rai Patel, head of Earth's Quantum Physics Division. The brilliant scientist had been quietly observing until now. "We might have a third option," he continued, activating the room's holographic system. Secretary General Omar leaned forward. "We're listening, Doctor." Dr. Patel projected a complex quantum diagram. "We've analyzed the Vorn scanning technology. They use a form of quantum resonance to detect energy signatures and matter configurations. It's incredibly advanced, but it has a critical vulnerability." The hologram zoomed in on a specific frequency pattern. The Vorn perceive reality through a specific quantum band. They can detect matter and energy within this band with astonishing precision, but they're effectively blind to anything operating outside it. "What are you suggesting?" Admiral Rice asked, a glimmer of hope in her eyes for the first time since the Vorn arrived. "Project Quantum Veil," Dr. Patel replied. "My team has been developing technology that can shift matter partially out of phase with normal spacetime. It was purely theoretical until now, but we've achieved promising results in small-scale tests." He manipulated the hologram to show a simulation. "If we commit every resource to this project, we could potentially mask our military response from Vorn detection. You're proposing we appear to comply while secretly preparing a counterattack?" General Petrov asked, his interest clearly piqued. "Precisely," Dr. Patel nodded. "We give them what they want on the surface, begin collecting resources, prepare human subjects, all while using our quantum veil technology to hide our real preparations." Dr. Chen frowned. "Even with every resource diverted to this plan, we couldn't develop enough firepower to defeat their armada directly." "We don't need to," Admiral Rice said, the beginnings of a strategy forming in her mind. "We just need to exploit their blindness at the right moment." The Secretary General surveyed the room. "This plan carries enormous risk." "So does surrender," Admiral Rice countered. "At least this way, we choose our fate." One by one, the leaders cast their votes. The decision was unanimous. Operation Quantum Defiance would begin immediately. Within hours, Earth transformed. Under the guise of preparing the demanded resources, every manufacturing facility on the planet shifted to producing components for the quantum veil technology. The public announcement was carefully crafted. Citizens were told that compliance with Vorn demands was necessary to avoid immediate destruction, but that Earth's leaders were exploring all options. Meanwhile, Dr. Patel's team worked frantically in laboratories around the world, perfecting the quantum veil technology. "We're pushing quantum mechanics to its theoretical limits," Dr. Patel explained during a progress report to Admiral Rice. "But the principles are sound. If the Vorn perceive reality through quantum resonance, they can't detect what exists outside their perceptual range." As scientists worked on the technology, military forces around the world prepared in plain sight. Weapons were moved, troops were deployed, and defense systems were activated, all under the pretense of maintaining order during the resource collection process. To buy more time, Earth's diplomatic team engaged the Vorn in endless requests for clarification about resource specifications and collection methods. "Our scientists require precise molecular compositions for the resource quotas," Ambassador Lai explained to an increasingly irritated Overseer Krill during their third communication. "Earth has diverse geological formations, and extraction efficiency depends on exact parameters." Each question bought precious hours as the Vorn were forced to consult their databases and provide detailed answers. The aliens, accustomed to species either begging for mercy or futilely preparing for resistance, failed to recognize the true purpose behind Earth's meticulous inquiries. 18 hours into the 24-hour deadline, Dr. Patel made a breakthrough. His team successfully quantum-veiled an entire military base containing thousands of personnel and dozens of experimental weapons for 15 minutes. Vorn scanners showed nothing but an empty collection facility. As word of the success spread among Earth's leadership, Operation Quantum Defiance accelerated. Military installations worldwide implemented the technology, creating a shadow force invisible to Vorn detection. Scientists worked on adapting the quantum veil to offensive capabilities, developing weapons that could penetrate Vorn defenses by operating outside their perceptual range. As the deadline approached, humanity presented a face of reluctant compliance while secretly preparing for the most consequential battle in its history. The Vorn, believing they faced yet another easily conquered species, had no idea what was coming. Admiral Rice stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, watching as the countdown to the Vorn harvester arrival ticked away. In less than 6 hours, Earth would either secure its freedom or face annihilation. "Send the final authorization," she ordered. "All units commence Operation Quantum Defiance." Operation Defiance. The sky over New Geneva glowed an ominous red as the Vorn harvester ships descended through Earth's atmosphere. Massive crystalline vessels, each the size of a small city, positioned themselves above designated collection points across the planet. From their undersides extended enormous extraction apparatus, ready to begin stripping Earth of its resources. In the underground command center, Admiral Rice watched the deployment on multiple holographic displays. Beside her, Secretary General Omar maintained a composed expression despite the tension visible in her clenched jaw. Harvester deployment at 87% and continuing, Lieutenant Commander Jackson reported. Vorn communications indicate they're preparing to begin extraction. Rice checked the mission clock. 04713 until activation of the quantum veil at full scale. They needed just 47 more minutes. "The Supreme Overseer is hailing us," Communications Officer Park announced. Omar nodded. On screen, Krill's alien features filled the main display, mandibles clicking in what humans had learned to recognize as anticipation. "Your compliance is noted, humans. The collective appreciates efficiency. Begin resource transfer immediately." Omar stepped forward. "Supreme Overseer, our collection teams report a technical issue with the molecular resonance of the extraction points. Our engineers request 30 minutes to stabilize the quantum harmonics before extraction begins." The alien's 4 eyes narrowed. "Your species continues to test the collective's patience with delays. You have 15 minutes. Further obstruction will be considered resistance." The transmission ended abruptly. 15 minutes, Rice muttered. "Not enough time." Dr. Patel looked up from his console. "We can accelerate the quantum field initialization, but it will reduce stability. We might get only one chance at this." "One chance is all we need," Rice replied. "Do it." Across the planet, in bunkers and bases hidden beneath collection points, Earth's military forces prepared for the most ambitious synchronized operation in human history. Quantum veil generators hummed as they approached critical power levels, and soldiers checked experimental weapons designed to operate outside the Vorn's perceptual range. "All units report ready, Admiral," General Petrov announced from his command post in what had once been the Siberian Defense Complex. "Quantum weapons are primed and targeting solutions locked. Maintain quantum silence until my mark," Rice ordered. "Remember, we'll have approximately 90 seconds of total surprise before they adapt. Make every shot count." The command center fell silent as the mission clock ticked down. 012, 04, 012, 03. Dr. Chen approached Rice, lowering her voice. "Admiral, I've been analyzing the Vorn communication patterns. There's something odd about their behavioral algorithms." "Explain." "They're too consistent, too predictable for a biological entity. I believe the Supreme Overseer may be an artificial intelligence, not a biological Vorn." Rice frowned. "How does that change our approach? If Krill is an AI, it might be more vulnerable to quantum disruption than we anticipated. The same principles that allow us to hide from their sensors could potentially disrupt their cognitive processes." A new possibility formed in Rice's mind. "Can you target their command and control systems specifically?" Dr. Chen nodded. "Theoretically, yes. if we modify our quantum pulse to target their communication frequencies. Do it, Rais ordered. Redirect 30% of our offensive capability to their command ship. As Dr. Chen rushed to implement the changes, the timer continued its relentless countdown. 07:35, 07:34. Across Earth, civilians huddled in shelters, watching news feeds that showed compliant resource collection while military forces operated in quantum silence. The Vorn harvesters had begun preliminary scans, their crystalline structures glowing with increasing intensity as they prepared to extract Earth's resources. In New Geneva, Dr. Patel monitored the quantum field stabilization. Field integrity at 94% and holding. We're ready, Admiral. Rais nodded, her expression resolute. All command centers, final authorization. Operation Quantum Defiance is go. Commence on my mark. The timer reached 0. Mark. Across the planet, quantum veil generators activated at full power. A wave of invisible energy washed over Earth's military installations, shifting them partially out of phase with normal spacetime, invisible to Vorn sensors, but fully capable of interacting with the physical world. In that instant, Earth's hidden arsenal revealed itself. Quantum-shifted weapons platforms emerged from concealment, targeting the vulnerable points of Vorn harvesters that Dr. Chen's team had identified. Experimental phase-shifted missiles launched from submarines and underground silos, appearing seemingly out of nowhere on their approach to the alien vessels. The Vorn, caught completely by surprise, had no time to raise their defensive shields. The first wave of quantum weapons struck with devastating effect, passing through the aliens' conventional defenses as if they weren't there and detonating within the crystalline structures of the harvester ships. On the main view screen, Rais watched as harvester after harvester erupted in brilliant blue explosions, their crystalline structures shattering like glass. Direct hit on 83% of targets, Tactical Officer Gonzalez reported. Vorn defense systems coming online now. They're adapting faster than anticipated, Dr. Patel warned. Quantum field stability dropping as they adjust their sensors. Rais turned to Dr. Chen. Now, Doctor, hit their command and control. Dr. Chen activated the modified quantum pulse, directing it at the Vorn command ship still in high orbit. The pulse, invisible to conventional sensors, struck the massive vessel and penetrated its defenses. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the alien ship's lights flickered, and its weapons systems powered down. Quantum disruption successful, Dr. Chen announced, barely containing her excitement. Their AI systems are experiencing a cascade failure. On the view screen, the remaining Vorn vessels stopped their attack preparations. They hung motionless in the sky, apparently waiting for commands that weren't coming. The Supreme Overseer is hailing us, Park reported, surprise evident in her voice. On screen, Rais ordered. The image of Krill appeared, but something was different. The alien's movements were jerky, uncoordinated, and its speech came in fragmented bursts. Human, resistance, unexpected, quantum, phase technology, impossible for your development stage. The alien's image flickered. Reassessing, threat classification. Secretary General Omar stepped forward. Supreme Overseer, the Vorn Collective has misjudged humanity. We will not be harvested or subjugated. Withdraw your forces immediately, or we will continue to demonstrate our capabilities. The alien's 4 eyes shifted focus several times before responding. Combat. Inefficient. Withdrawal. Initiated. Warning. The collective will analyze this encounter. The transmission ended. On tactical displays, the remaining Vorn vessels began to move away from Earth, accelerating toward the edge of the solar system. The command center erupted in cheers, but Rais raised her hand for silence. This isn't over. Track those ships. I want to know exactly where they're going. Do you think they'll return with reinforcements? Omar asked quietly. Eventually, Rais replied. But by then, we'll be ready. Dr. Patel, How quickly can we adapt the quantum veil technology to our fleet? Dr. Patel considered the question. With what we've learned today, months, not years, and offensive capabilities. Dr. Chen smiled. The quantum disruption effect on their eye was more effective than we anticipated. We can refine it, make it more targeted. Reyes nodded, a determined expression on her face. Begin immediately. Secretary General, I recommend we maintain global mobilization and accelerate our space defense program. Omar agreed. The Security Council will approve anything you need. Humanity won't be caught unprepared again. As the Vorn ships disappeared from sensors, Earth celebrated its unexpected victory. News feeds worldwide broadcast the retreat of the alien vessels, careful to emphasize that the danger had not passed completely. In cities across the planet, people emerged from shelters to look up at skies now clear of alien vessels. The knowledge that humanity had stood against an advanced alien civilization, and won, transformed collective fear into determined resolve. 6 months later, Admiral Reyes stood on the observation deck of the newly commissioned orbital defense platform Genesis. Below her, Earth gleamed blue and green in the sunlight, its continents now dotted with quantum shield generators and defense installations. In lunar orbit, the first ships of humanity's quantum-veiled fleet underwent final testing, their hulls incorporating technology reverse-engineered from salvaged Vorn vessels. Beyond them, early warning outposts extended throughout the solar system, ready to detect any approach. Admiral, Lieutenant Commander Jackson called from the communication station. We're receiving a transmission from Deep Space Outpost Theta. They've detected multiple quantum signatures matching Vorn configurations. Estimated arrival: 3 months. Reyes wasn't surprised. She had known this day would come. Alert all command centers. Initiate Defense Protocol Omega. As she turned to leave, she paused to look once more at Earth. The planet had changed irrevocably since the day the Vorn arrived. Humanity had united as never before, driven by the knowledge that they were not alone in the universe, and that they would need to fight for their place among the stars. This time, she murmured, we'll be waiting for them. The Vorn had ordered Earth to submit. Humanity had chosen a different path, one that would echo across the galaxy for generations to come.